me feeling like I'm academics. Can't.
Here we go. Oh, all right. Let me try to do this topic real quick, and I might call it after this. This is gonna get us to 6 o'clock. All right. So, chat, you know what I've been interested in, and I want to keep up with this. So, Candace Owens, I know this is outside of hip-hop, chat, and I want to apologize, right? But Candace Owens, like, I've interviewed her. I don't know if you guys ever watched Off the Record. I interviewed her. I really think she's intellectual. I think she's smart. I think she's fearless. I think she's bold. But a lot of people are accusing her of going off the deep end these days, chat. Essentially, what's happening is that, remember the guy Charlie Kirk? So Charlie Kirk, who got shot and killed while he was doing a speech at a university, what ended up happening is that, you know, people are like really skeptical that his death was due to some random hater. They're like, nah, man, it ain't just some random hater. Like, there's much more going on here. People have talked about his liker, his, maybe defecting from Israel. Some people feel like he was getting too powerful. And I've gotten to find out that supposedly this guy was a huge deal. He had this organization called Turning Point USA. He was a huge deal just off the fact that he was getting out there to get a lot of these young conservative people to register to vote. People think that he helped Trump get elected. And I think when Trump even shouted people out, right? Like, Donald Trump wins election. Let me see if I can find that speech. He even shouted out Ada Ross, but I think he even shouted out this guy, right? Let me see. He's projected the winner. Let's see if we can find it. He shot Elon.
Frankly, this was, we have thousands help, but it's a political victory that is going to be just that. Fight for you, for young, safe, and prosperous Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
Listen, I'll just find the transcript.
We are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would...
I'm trying to figure out. Donald Trump speech. Aiden Ross. He shot out Aiden. I definitely know he did. Oh, maybe it was...
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves... He keeps going forward. They deserve it as a family. This is karma, lady. The mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. Thank you.
Yeah, they shot Joe Rogan. Let me see. But he definitely... election speech, Charlie Kirk shout out. Anyway, I don't want to get like too much into it, but he shouted out Charlie Kirk, and the whole Republican Party was really keen on saying that this one guy in this organization called Turning Point USA was really instrumental in getting Trump elected. Now, what happened is that he got killed. And after he got killed, Candace Owens, who was a good friend of his, Candace Owens is not taking this as, he just got killed by a hater. She's like, listen, man, some of this shit don't make sense. Why did this? Why did the blood look like this? Why didn't the bullet go through? Why did that? Why did that? Why y'all clean up the scenes too quick? And she's been kind of leading to conspiracy theories about why he got killed, including even to damn near almost blaming the organization that he owned for setting him up. She's going insanely viral. Chat, right now we're on a live stream. We have about like 4,000 people on each channel watching this. When she goes live these days, and she goes live, I think 5 days a week, she'll have hundreds of thousands of people. That's not her regular numbers. That is like some inflated number count. She'll have 200,000, 300,000 people watching her. And it's her diving into these conspiracy theories with TPUSA, which is Turning Point USA. Now, let me see if I could. I wish there was a super cut of it. This was she streamed 2 months ago. She said something isn't right.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a Tuesday for us, guys. Where should we begin? I'll tell you this. Something is not right. Something is not right. And I am going to need you, whoever it is that's listening to this podcast right now.
Now, let me tell you, and if you're ever in media, there's very different stages of like, clouting up, right? And I love Candace, but Candace, I was shocked that Alex Jones, when the financials and everything was determined, it showed that his company made $195 million for a year. And you get to realize, damn, how this motherfucker got this audience? Well, how Alex Jones, and I don't want to belittle nothing he's done. He's a great entertainer and broadcaster or whatever. When you sell fear, when you sell conspiracy theories, when you say, oh, the world is about to end, like he used to sell on his site these kits of if the electricity had cut off or if we're off the grid, and he would sell these things, and because of the rhetoric he had, people would buy them. So essentially, what am I saying? Alex Jones realized when you sell fear, people spend money. When you ask questions and sell theories that the big bad government is lying to us, or they killed one of their own, or whatever the case is, you get eyeballs, you get attention. So Candace Owens has been getting, and look at some of these views. She streamed this. 5.8 million views. She's been leaning into Charlie Kirk's death was not solely the byproduct of some guy that didn't like his rhetoric and killed him. This was possibly another government that killed him, or possibly his own organization that killed him after they were trying to have a coup and basically take over the organization. By the way, the organization is really popular. The organization has never said that. Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk, has never said that. She's kind of a lone wolf, but she has some type of credence because she was his friend, and she claims she has had conversations with him leading up to his death that made her skeptical about how his death went down. She's been talking about it ever since with a lot of views.
To wake up, because I am telling you, this is not a battle between left and right. We all thought that at some point. We believed that. You're my enemy, you're my enemy. It is not a battle between Russia, Ukraine. I don't care what your political issue of the day is. What is happening right now in the world and what just happened to my friend Charlie Kirk is a battle of sheer evil versus goodness.
There we go.
What do I have for you guys today? Okay, well, first and foremost, the indictment against Tyler Robinson was just released.
Okay. So she's been leaning into this. Now, recently, it's came to a head where she's damn near almost accusing Charlie Kirk's wife of being a part of a plot to kill him and cover it up and take power from him and run this organization. That recently, the people who are now running Turning Point USA, they have responded to Charlie Kirk. They've responded to Candace Owens. Here they are.
We wanted to use this.
Here they are broadcasting from Charlie Kirk's own YouTube, which is where his show used to come from.
Segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important. For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She's made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died.
Wow.
She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns. She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are. Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone. She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth. She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report and literally every single bill paid by the organization down to a single United States dollar. We have never missed a 990 deadline. Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out because from the start, there has been nothing there. The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total, reckless disregard for the truth so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it. For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show. But for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven cry.
Okay, so they have the whole response to Candace Owens. Then they randomly put out a tweet saying that they're going to address all this stuff. And I guess the bigger story, if you're saying you don't know what's going on here, is that Candace Owens is now like the #1 media person in, I want to say, politics. Like, she's getting the most amount of views because she's leaning into, someone from either the government or someone in the organization or working with a foreign government killed Charlie Kirk. And what's happening here is people are looking at it like the party of the Republican Party is now fractured. Here we go, by the way.
I work in construction and experience the same thing. My coworkers are all in on the Charlie Kirk conspiracies. If the Republicans lose in the midterms, I believe that Candace Owens is wholly responsible. She is one of the biggest podcasts on the right doing everything to go to war with the organization that helped get Trump elected. Turning Point specifically was going out and registering people to vote. Without Charlie, it's in trouble. Turning Point needs to be able to go out and rally young people and register them to vote. And she's doing everything she can to destroy that. And that is going to, I suppose, it's going to rip out the coffers on the right. There is no organization like Turning Point that exists anywhere else that has the resources and the reach. And without Charlie, I'm not sure that they can make it. But I can tell you this, Candace lighting a Molotov and throwing it through the window is not helping. And it's the most demoralizing thing ever. Additionally, all of the fucking cowards on the right who are too scared to say anything about her. because she tweets at me talking shit or whatever, and then a bunch of people come and flood our chat. I could give a single flying fuck. You can come and you can burn everything I have to the ground, and I will happily live in a van down by the river. I don't care to be number one. I don't need to be number one. What I care about is what is true and what will help this country and what works. And she is a fucking scumbag, okay? And she's getting worse every day. And she crossed the line. She continually crosses the line every day, insinuating that Turning Point literally killed the guy who made them all rich. And I hear this in the streets, and at a certain point, I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna lose the midterms. We're gonna lose the midterms, then we're gonna lose in 2028, and it's because she's a piece of shit. Because instead of saying, guys, let's come together and figure out how to work together, she says the stupidest retarded crap. And now everybody's running around divided and broken. For what reason? For literally what reason? Now, guess what? I'm not on the best of terms with Turning Point either. In case you didn't.
Okay, this is like a big thing. And the last thing I'll play is her. Supposedly they've invited her to like this one time only thing to address all the rumors, but she came out and she said, yo, y'all set it to the date of my husband's birthday. So this is her husband, I believe. Right?
Guys, happy Monday. I hope you enjoyed the holiday weekend. I
know for some people that you might not be into politics and everything like that, but
Guys, happy Monday. Guys, happy Monday. Husband's birthday. And
okay. And then Nick Fuentes is involved in this too.
If she's so afraid for her life, why was she at Tucker?
Because she's saying that it's a conspiracy to kill people. She also feels like there's a bounty on her head. So she said she don't want to travel or do too much. Nick Fuentes jumped in and said, yo, well, no, you're capping. You're just trying to keep the money train going on. You don't want to get confronted about these conspiracy theories that you're spewing about this dude. And you're trying to make it like you can't link up in person to have this debate.
Tucker Carlson's Christmas party in Nashville last night. Why was she at Dollywood on Thanksgiving, the theme park? So allegedly the French government and the Israeli intelligence have put a hit out on you. They've paid millions of dollars to kill you, but you're walking around a theme park in your town. You're walking around, for those that don't know, Dollywood, Dollyland. It's like Dolly Parton's Disney World. You're walking around Disney World? You're walking around an amusement park in your hometown on the holiday weekend when allegedly everyone's trying to kill you? Then you go to a Christmas party with Tucker Carlson in the same city attended by hundreds of people, and people know you're going to be there with Tucker and all the base people in one room, but you can't go to Turning Point where everybody knows you're going to be, and if anything happened to you, God forbid, they would immediately blame Turning Point. It doesn't even make any sense.
What he's saying makes sense. Personally, I don't think she can imply.
Okay. So anyway, it's an interesting thing.
being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me that just within 48 hours before Charlie passed away, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point. I guess I can figure out who that is, how many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. Okay. Charlie himself had alluded to a tremendous loss of money coming in. And we'll speak about that more. More people are going to come out with information. This is all inevitable. Okay. And I'll also point you in this direction. You guys remember Bibi recently was on a PR blitz, despite the fact that he was, fighting this 96,000 front war because Israel didn't do nothing. Okay. So why didn't he do Charlie Kirk's show? And is that you are live streaming because you want the internet.
So now she's saying why she can't do a live stream.
To be able
to. If you're in this world, you understand it. Like, oftentimes when I'm explaining stuff, I'm thinking, does the regular person understand this? And you won't understand unless you've been tuning into this. But I ain't gonna lie, this is wildly popular. This is like very big. This is like the biggest thing, you know, in any type of commentary space.
To attend, right? That's the whole purpose and function of live streaming an event, is that it invites everybody to be able to attend.
So she says she can't travel to Phoenix because her husband's birthday is that day. But people are saying, yo, you probably made millions talking about Charlie Kirk and all the conspiracy theories for the last 2 months since he died. Why can't you travel here if we're going to have an open discussion? You could ask whatever question you want, because her thing has been, why is nobody answering these questions I have and other people have? They're like, we'll answer it. Show up this day. She's like, it's my husband's birthday. I can't show up. But people are like, well, you've made millions of dollars streaming and shit like that. Like, what? Like, you said this is important. Why can't you figure out a way?
When you extend an invitation of live streaming and you don't explicitly say it must be in person, why would I assume that you're going to rescind the offer if I say that I can appear via live stream? Okay. They never said that when they made the offer, and they were pretending that they were being sincere. They never made in person a point of their demands. They never also said that I had to respond within 24 hours. That's a hostage situation, okay? There's no way that I could have accommodated all of that. In a million years, 24 hours to respond. How about, let me see if I can make that work. Even if I could have made it work, which I couldn't have, because my husband instantly said, no, you cannot do this Monday. And he runs the household, and he had...
One thing I like about Candace, and maybe she's just like the opposite of like Akash's wife. Like, she's a woman, and yes, she does her podcast, and she has a voice, and she is strong. But she still she realized she on her husband's program. I don't even know who her husband is. It's his program. If her husband tell her, that ain't happening, she will tell the world, listen, my husband said it ain't happening. It's his program. And I ain't gonna lie, I like women who still listen to niggas. Like, these days, women, they don't listen to niggas. So when she says, my husband, he the boss, he called the shots, he said it's over, I can't travel on that day, even though it should be a no-brainer because it's his birthday, and especially if he says if he wants to be with his wife on his birthday, fuck all this other shit. I like that she listens to her husband.
As an important thing going on that day, which involves people that are coming in from overseas. But even if I could have made that work, I would not have within 24 hours have confirmed to them if they had even sent me an email. Because I have kids, I would have had organized things, and it would have just taken longer than...
All right, man. Y'all got to check that out. I watch it every morning. It's the most riveting thing that I think is going down. Salute to all of them, but Candace, I'll say this. I love you and everything, but I think you're full of shit. I think you have realized that people are interested in the questions that you're posing, and people like conspiracy theories. Charlie Kirk was loved by so many, they still can't process and accept the fact that a fucking random hater just killed him. You know what I mean? Imagine if Tupac fans were like that for a bit. They couldn't just imagine, Pac jumped some Crip and the Crip came back blasting and Pac is dead. Pac fans were saying he's in Cuba. So I understand dealing with grief and loss and irrational grief and loss, or irrational loss that brings grief. Sometimes you're going to get people that are going to lean into these alternate theories. And Candace Owens, I think she's cleaning up. She's making a killing. It's no surprise why she's like every stream now she has 200,000 people watching. It's because people want to see her give alternate explanations of why this guy didn't die from a random fucking hater. And I think Candace knows that a little bit. But I do think, sometimes she's one of those people that she starts believing, start going so deep down a rabbit hole, she believes all the shit. So again, Charlie Kirk got killed by a hater, bro. That's it. Ain't no government, ain't no cover up. They wish he was here, right? Because Turning Point doesn't hit as hard with him. But Candace is definitely she's exploited a little bit, and I rock with her. Anyway, last topic here.